Welcome back to our part 3 of this lesson. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the different types of evidence, building the puzzle with sources, using evidence responsibly, common mistakes, revision, conclusion, the informative writing blueprint, and we're also going to bring the pieces together in Walter's completed essay journey. Without further ado, let's continue. Now that we have examined a complete SEER paragraph, let's discuss the pieces that helped Walter build it. One of the biggest mistakes students sometimes make is assuming that all evidence is the same. But is it? No, it isn't. Different sources contribute different types of understanding. Let's think about our puzzle again. Imagine trying to complete a puzzle using only blue pieces. Would you eventually see the entire picture? Probably not. You need pieces from every part of the image. The same principle applies to evidence. Research studies help us understand findings based on systematic investigation. Surveys reveal attitudes, perceptions, and trends. Expert interviews provide professional interpretation and specialized knowledge. Government reports often supply large-scale statistics and public data. Historical examples are going to help explain how issues developed over time. Case studies demonstrate how concepts function in real-world situations. Professional organizations identify broader patterns and emerging trends. So notice something important here. No single source type tells the entire story. Strong informative writers combine different forms of evidence to create a more complete understanding of the topic. That is exactly what Walter did in his automation paragraph. He used a research report, a survey, an expert perspective, and a professional organization report. The result was a richer and more informative discussion. Now, let's talk about how to choose trustworthy sources. Not all sources are equally reliable. This is something every college writer must understand. Imagine this. Walter finds two sources. The first comes from a respected research institution. The second one comes from an anonymous blog. Which source should he trust? Well, the answer seems obvious, yet many students make source decisions based on convenience rather than credibility. Remember this: strong informative essays rely on trustworthy information. This means using sources that have expertise, authority, and accountability. For example, the Stanford Institute for Human Artificial Intelligence, the Pew Research Center, the National Center for Education Statistics, government agencies, peer-reviewed journals, professional organizations. These sources are generally more reliable because they follow research standards and provide transparent information. Whenever you evaluate a source, ask yourself, who created it? What are their qualifications? Can their information be verified? Answering these questions will help you make better research decisions. Now, let's discuss another common problem. Some students think evidence means quotations, but evidence is much more than that. Students believe that once they use a quotation, they have successfully supported their point. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Imagine that Walter writes, "Artificial intelligence is changing society." Then he inserts one quotation, and then the paragraph ends. Has he really helped readers understand the topic? Not necessarily. A quotation is only a piece of information. Strong informative writers develop ideas using multiple forms of support. For example, a research report, a survey, an expert interview, a real-world example. These different forms of evidence work together. More importantly, they are explained. Remember this important element. Evidence does not speak for itself. Writers help readers understand why the evidence matters. Whenever you use evidence, ask yourself, what does this tell readers? Why is it important? How does it support my point? Those questions often are going to lead to stronger explanations and, consequently, stronger essays. At this point, let's pause and learn from Walter's mistakes. Because every writer makes mistakes, including experienced writers. One of Walter's first mistakes was choosing a topic that was too broad. At first, he wanted to write about artificial intelligence as a whole. That topic is enormous. Strong informative essays require focus. Another mistake involved his thesis statement. Initially, his thesis lacked specificity and parallel structure. We corrected that by identifying 3 clear and parallel points. Walter also relied on limited evidence. At first, he found one article and thought he was finished. But informative writing requires multiple perspectives. So finally, he provided information without enough explanation. This is extremely common. Students sometimes assume that readers automatically understand the significance of evidence, but readers need guidance. This is why they are reading your essay. Remember, information becomes understanding only through explanations. By correcting these mistakes, Walter strengthened his essay considerably. Now, let's discuss another stage that transforms good writing into great writing, and that is revision. One of the biggest myths about writing is the belief that good writers create perfect first drafts. That simply isn't true. Strong writers revise. Let's return to our puzzle. Imagine that you've spent hours assembling pieces. Then you step back. Suddenly you notice a problem. Some pieces don't belong where you place them. Other sections seem incomplete. Perhaps an important piece is missing altogether. So what do? Of course, you revise. Writing works the same way. Revision means stepping back and examining the entire picture. Notice that revision is not the same as proofreading. Proofreading focuses on grammar and punctuation. Revision focuses on ideas. During revision, Walter asks questions such as, Is my thesis clear? Are my body paragraphs organized logically? Have I explained my evidence thoroughly? Have I supported my ideas sufficiently? Does everything connect to my main point? Revision is where many essays improve drastically. In fact, some of the strongest writing happens after the first draft is completed. Now, let's talk about conclusions. Many students treat conclusions as an afterthought. They spend hours on the introduction and body paragraphs, and then they rush through the entire ending. But conclusions matter. Think about your favorite movie. What part do people often remember most? Of course, the ending. The ending shapes the audience's final impression. The same is true in writing. An effective conclusion should accomplish 3 things. First, it should revisit the thesis, not repeat it word for word, but revisit, rephrase it. Second, it should remind readers of the major points discussed through the essay. Third, it should emphasize significance. It should answer to questions like, why does the topic matter? Why should readers care about it? A strong conclusion helps readers leave with understanding. Let's look at Walter's conclusion. Artificial intelligence is transforming society through automation, data analysis, and personalized technology. As these technologies become increasingly integrated into everyday life, understanding their impact becomes more important than ever. By examining how artificial intelligence influences workplaces, decision-making, and digital experiences, readers can better understand one of the most significant technological developments of modern era. Notice what it does. It revisits the thesis. It reminds readers of the 3 major points, and it explains why the topic matters. The conclusion does not introduce new information. Instead, it helps readers step back and view the complete picture. Now, let's review the entire writing process. Walter began with a topic. He conducted research. He developed a thesis with 3 parallel points. He built body paragraphs using the Sears strategy. He revised his work, and eventually he produced a complete informative essay. As you see, writing may seem complex when viewed at once, but when broken into manageable steps, it becomes much more approachable. And that leads to our final thought. As we conclude today's lesson, I would like to return to where we began, the puzzle. At the beginning of the presentation, we discussed the difference between information and understanding. A pile of puzzle pieces contain information, color, shapes, fragments, but it does not reveal the picture. Understanding emerges when those pieces are connected. Informative writing works exactly the same way. Readers often arrive with scattered information, questions, partial knowledge, curiosity, but your responsibility as a writer is to help them connect the pieces. Think about Walter. When he received his assignment, he had a topic but no clear direction. He had information, but not understanding. Through research, organization, evidence, explanation, and revision, he gradually connected the pieces, and eventually a complete picture emerged. That is the purpose of informative writing. Not persuasion, not argument, but understanding. The strongest informative writers are not necessarily the people who know the most. They are the people who explain the clearest. If someone finishes reading your essay and thinks, I understand the topic much better now, then you have succeeded. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope this lesson has helped you better understand informative essays and given you a practical framework for approaching your own writing. As you continue your academic journey, remember this: writing is not simply about collecting information. Writing is about helping others understand it. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep writing. Thank you for watching.